We dropped a top 15 quarterback tier ranking video only about a month ago, but since then, we finished out our full statted out projections and we're hitting you with our updated tier ranking list for the top 15 quarterbacks in redraft this season. And let me just say, we had some movers and shakers, some guys who moved up a tier, guys who moved down, guys who weren't on the list before. So I'm excited to just dive right on into it. And these first two guys, it's obvious. It's Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts. And if you want to say SS tier, right? Maybe not SS tier, but if you want to put Josh Allen in a tier of his own, I don't blame you, right? There's no one like him right now. 4 straight seasons, worst finish in those 4 seasons. It was the quarterback 2, averaging 24 fantasy points a game. He's otherwise been the quarterback 1 in those 3 other seasons, averaging about the same amount. Obviously, it'll be interesting how he looks this season without Stephon Diggs. But Diggs was pretty much a non-factor after week 10, and Allen still averaged 22 points per game. Still had over 22 points in 6 of those 8 games. He was still a beast, 15 rushing touchdowns last year. I think he'll be just fine. But obviously, if you can get him at a discount because people are worried about Diggs, get him at a discount right now because this guy's legit. The other guy in this tier is Jalen Hurts. And now Jalen Hurts, he doesn't quite have the passing that Josh Allen has had. Obviously, doesn't have the passing some of these other quarterbacks we're going to talk about has had, but the rushing's huge. I mean, he's been a top 3 quarterback the last 2 seasons with no more than 3,900 passing yards, with no more than 23 passing touchdowns. That's not great passing stats, but when you have 150 carries for 600 yards and double-digit rushing touchdowns every single year, yeah, that's going to push you into this tier of I don't really see how he can bust at ADP. I don't see that he could have a bad enough season where he's not returning on at least his quarterback 2 ranking. Maybe if he's like taken in the second round, that's a different story. But being the quarterback 2, he's gonna finish as a top 3 guy. And that's what this S tier is. It's pretty much they're guaranteed top 5 for sure, more than likely top 3, and they have a most legitimate shot as the quarterback 1. Moving on to this A tier, then we got 3 more quarterbacks. And for me, this A tier is guys who have a very solid chance finish as a quarterback 1. They're more likely going to be in that quarterback 3 range. They're not the favorites to do it, but I do think they have a legitimate shots to finish there. That first guy is Lamar Jackson. We'll talk about the question for Lamar. Obviously, can he stay healthy? Can he play a full 16 or 17 games? Excuse me. He's missed 11 games over the past 3 seasons. Yet over that time, he's still averaging 20 fantasy points per game. He's still over 700 plus rushing yards in each of those 3 seasons, even when he's only played 12 games, which is just crazy. And his worst season was since 2019 was 20 fantasy points per game. That is a tremendous floor for Lamar. He adds Derrick Henry, who, Lamar's not Josh Allen. He's not Jalen Hurts. He's not scoring 12, 15 rushing touchdowns in a season. He's a 6 or 7 touchdown a year guy. So I don't think Derrick Henry hurts. If anything, I think it is going to help open up that offense more. Then we have Kyler as our consensus quarterback 4. I know for some of you, they're like, whoa, that is way, way too high up there, especially ahead of Patrick Mahomes. But guys, when Kyler's healthy, the dude's legit. Career low of 18 points per game. He's a full season removed from his ACL tear. He was still in a 17-game pace last year for 39 passing yards, 500 rushing touchdowns, and 30 total touchdowns. Now he has Marvin Harrison, Trey Benson, and Zay Jones. Trey McBride gets another season. Michael Wilson gets another season in this offense. All signs point for, green lights for Kyler Murray moving forward. And this dude has already shown that he can average 23.6 fantasy points per game in a season and finishes the quarterback 1. So that's why he's in this tier for us. And we feel like consensus-wise, he is way, way too low. The last guy in this tier is obviously Patrick Mahomes, right? I think Patrick Mahomes had a down year last year, but now he adds in Xavier Worthy. He adds in Hollywood, Brown on the outside, double the speed. Obviously, Rashee Rice, who played well last season, is going to be suspended for a little bit. But even just adding those 2 guys, legitimate weapons on the outside to help, with Travis Kelce. When Rashee Rice comes back, we know that Patrick Mahomes is always a threat for 5,000 yards. He's always a threat to push 50 touchdowns. There's no doubt about it. And he's done it without Tyreek. 2022 averaged 25.1 fantasy points per game. He was the reason Josh Allen didn't have 4 straight seasons as the quarterback 1. So yeah, he can finish as a quarterback 1 in this offense. There's no doubt about it. All right, and now we move on to the B tier. For me, these are guys who do have top five upside in their realm of possibilities. I just don't think they're going to quite be the quarterback. All right, moving on to the B tier. These are guys I think have top five seasons in their range of outcomes. I just don't think they can be the quarterback one on the season. They're still going to be, fantastic players. At six, we have Anthony Richardson. The big thing about Anthony Richardson is the upside was apparent. 10 rush attempts in his two healthy games, 4 touchdowns in 4 games where he missed basically 4 quarters. He's got great weapons. Michael Pittman, A.D. Mitchell, Josh Downs, Jonathan Taylor. The thing for Anthony Richardson is he's only played 4 games. You've barely seen him. He's only thrown the ball over 30 times once in a game. So there's a lot of question marks. However, we know the dude's fantastic. We know he's got, great upside. Is he a fantastic NFL quarterback who's going to consistently put up points? But the upside is for sure apparent. At six is CJ Stroud, 4,100 passing yards, 23 passing touchdowns, 5 picks, fantastic rookie season. And it's apparent why he's so highly regarded in NFL standards. However, he only ran the ball 39 times for 167 yards. So these other guys got that, rushing base built in. CJ Stroud doesn't have that. So he's going to need 35 plus passing touchdowns, flirt with 5,000 yards in order to be able to push top 5, top 3 as a fantasy quarterback. But if anybody's got the, crew around him right now with Diggs, Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Joe Mixon, it's CJ Stroud right now. At 8 is Jordan Love. And I hate saying this. I really do. As a Vikings fan, I cannot stand saying this, but the dude was legit last year. 41 passing touchdowns and 30 passing yards, 32 passing touchdowns, excuse me. He runs slightly more than like a Stroud. Not a crazy amount, but enough to kind of give you that buffer where he can give you 3-4 rushing touchdowns. He can give you 300, maybe in a great season, 400 rushing yards. And he really gave us no reason to doubt that it's not going to be more of the same that we saw last year, especially as this receiving core continues to get older, continues to mature. As we look to find out, is Christian Watson wide receiver one? Is Jaden Reed the wide receiver one? Is Dontavian Wicks or Romeo Doubs going to step up? There's a lot of weapons in this offense. Josh Jacobs comes over now. That Jordan Love is set up for success in the future. And I hate, like I said, saying that as a Vikings fan. At 9 is Joe Burrow. Obviously, last year you could throw him right in the bus category. It was awful. He had the injury, and even if it wasn't, his just play overall was not great for Burrow. He had the calf injury, so he just was never 100%. But we've seen 2 years from him with 4,500 plus yards, 34 plus touchdowns, and in 2022 he ran the ball almost 80 times. So he does get out of the pocket. He does give you that, and then he's also throwing 4,500 yards and 35 touchdowns. So he does have top 3 upside. He's got to kind of all come together. Obviously, there's, is T. Higgins going to be there? If is not, but as long as Jamar Chase is there, the dude is, locked in to be a top 7 quarterback, top 10 quarterback. Yeah, and the reason we're putting them in tiers 2 is they can go any order within this tier, and I truly believe he can finish the quarterback 6. I think he could crack top 5 this season. At 10 is Dak Prescott, and Dak has shown he can put up ridiculous numbers. He's done it multiple times, finishing top 3 twice, including last year with 4,500 yards, 36 passing touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. The thing about Dak right now that's a little worrisome is both him and CD are kind of fighting for contracts. It sounds like Dak is going to be there no matter what, but hopefully they pay CD Lamb and get him back into camp, get them working. But yeah, since 2019, Dak's worst finish overall is 9th in points per game. So he's going to be good as long as he's healthy, as long as he's out there, as long as he has CD Lamb. He's a top 10 option for you. Moving on to the C tier, we got some guys who are high upside, but more unproven. Trevor Lawrence is the first one for us at quarterback 11. And for some of you, you're like, nah. He's not improving anymore. We've seen enough. For me, I'm keeping him in this tier. I am keeping him this high. He averaged 17 fantasy points per game over the last 2 seasons. Hasn't thrown more than 25 passing touchdowns yet. He does have rushing work that's pretty comparable, like a Dak Prescott, between 200 to 350 rushing yards, 3, maybe can get up to 6 rushing touchdowns. I think the addition of Gabe Davis and Brian Thomas is going to help a lot, really push this offense down the field. Still got Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk underneath. I think having Christian Kirk struggle with an injury last year hurt a lot as well. Zay Jones never being on the field. And that offense just as a whole just never felt like it really figured it out. And so I think that this season it's going to be a lot different for Trevor Lawrence. Jane Daniels, just an absolute beast in high school or in college last season. What I think from Jaden Daniels is you got Cliff Kingsbury, who led Tyler to a quarterback one season. You got Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, who I'm still a believer in, Brian Robinson, Austin Eckler. And at worst from Jaden Daniels, excuse me, we're going to see a Justin Fields step season where he's probably going to push tops, maybe top 7, top 8 points per game. Hopefully he plays all 17 games. It may not be pretty NFL wise, but he'll be good for fantasy. At 13, we have Caleb Williams. Obviously, sky's the limit for this dude, especially in this offense. That wide receiver core in Chicago is crazy. Maybe the best supporting cast the quarterback, first pick in the draft has ever walked into. He's got huge expectations, but that probably means they're going to just give him the keys to the offense pretty early. They're going to say, all right, go show us what you got. And he did run enough in college for me that I feel confident that he's going to kind of have that floor that we continue to talk about. And then finally, we have our D tier guys, Tua Tagovailoa, Jared Goff, very similar for me, right? Both of them around 4,500 yards last year, both of them around 30 touchdowns. The issue is neither of them had their rushing floor. That is where it comes from. That's why, they're 14, 15. That's why, Tua could throw, like I said, 4,600 passing yards and 29 passing touchdowns last season and still didn't even finish top 12 in points per game. So both of them very similar there. Both of them in this tier for a reason, can be very consistent when they're on the field. It's just they don't have enough of that extra, rushing upside or even just that extra tier of like a Mahomes where they could hit, 40, 50 passing touchdowns. I know you might say, where's Kirk? Where's Justin Herbert? A lot of these guys were very close to finishing right outside the top 15, but that is our top 15 fantasy quarterbacks. If you want to see them all statted out, if you want to see, who's got who where individually, check us out, fellasdraftguide.com for that. We got that whole thing over there. You can find that in our bio as well. Make sure you turn on notifications, hit that subscribe button because we're coming with podcast on Tuesday. Top 20 running backs, I believe, on Wednesday, and another podcast on Thursday with shorts riddled in throughout all of it. Well, thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you hopefully tomorrow. Deuces.